Hey guys, Catalmiron again here with another React Native tutorial. In this tutorial we will create this slider animation and we'll use the scroll view and we will interpolate the X value of the scroll. We can start by downloading the image and convert it into a MOV so we can play it frame by frame and rewind it when possible. I'm going to use convert.io .co. There are plenty other converters out there, so feel free to use whatever you find convenient. Download it, save it to desktop, it's fine. And you can see the power of having a video format is that you can play it frame by frame and see what's actually happening on the screen, and you can create the same effect and also see the layout structure, and you can also see how everything is moving on the screen quite easily. Okay, so now that we have the video ready, let's jump to the terminal and initialize the React Native project. I'll be using Expo. Is going to ask if you wanna start from blank or using React navigation, and we will use the manage workflow and use the Expo SDK and name the project React Native III slider and use the yarn. Okay, so now that everything is installed, let's cd into the project and open it up in VS Code. And I'm also going to open my my phone here. Let's give it here a shot. So, and open the terminal again and type yarn start. This will start the React Native server. Now we're back in the VS Code, and as you can see, after React Native finished the bundling, you will be able to see in your Expo application the app running, and we can also test if the hot module replacement is working. Hey, from tutorial. Yeah. So now the next thing is to get the images and construct the whole list of items. For that, I'll use the company that this designer added. It's called III. So if we go to III.dk, we can go to headphones and grab the title, the series number, description, and the price. And for image, I saw a pattern in this, so it's the series number _m .png. So as you can see here, it's HTTPS IIIDK image front, the series number _m .png. I'm not going to bother you how like the copy paste stuff, so I'll just have this copied to my clipboard, and I also reference the pattern here, and I grab the series number, the title, subtitle, description, price, and the background color. The background color I took from each slide. So now that we have the price list itself constructed, let's jump in the code and create the scroll view and populate with items. First import the scroll view. from React Native and go to the render and right here, and for the scroll view we will have the container style, which is going to equal to styles scroll view container, and inside this scroll view we will create the product list mapping, and we will receive the item, and we will render the item and item plus the I. We will need this index because based on it we will know how to interpolate the x coordinate of the scroll view. And let's create a render item method that receives the I and the item, and for now let's just return the view and add a text field item.title. Okay, so we have the title, and also let's add the description as well to just get a sense of feeling. This is also complaining about the key because we're iterating over an array, and to keep everything in reference, just pass the item ID, which is the series number, and we know that this is unique. Okay, so now let's go to the scroll view and add a couple of other properties. We wanna enable the paging, and we wanna throttle the scroll event fire it up each 16 milliseconds. We wanna make it horizontal, and we also wanna listen to the on scroll event, and this is going to be an animated event, and from the native event we will take from the content offset the x value and assign it into scrollX variable and use the native driver for it. This scrollX is going to be a new animated value, and will start from 0, and we will also need the animated from React Native, and the dimensions from React Native, because we will need for the items and other visual containers, and we will take the width and height from dimensions from window, and also make this an animated scroll view. And for each item we will also apply a different style. First is the styles from the container, and also create a new one, call it item, and an item will have and also don't forget about this scroll view. This scroll view is going to be align items center, justify content center. For the item we want to make it full width and height, so we will have width, height, and align items to the center. Let's give it a shot and see where we are right now in terms of UI. So let's see if the scroll is horizontal, and this snaps for each item. Let's add the remaining item details such as the subtitle and also the price. And if we take a look at the design here, we will have the title and also the subtitle here and the description, and also I'm also going to add the price here. So let's grab the subtitle and the description and the subtitle into a different view and wrap them, and also apply a different style. Is styles, I'll call it meta container, and for the title I'll apply a custom font. So styles.font, I'll create it immediately, and styles title. And for the description, we also wanted to add the font and the subtitle. This is for subtitle, and this is the description. For description, we also going to add the font and styles description. And for the price, again, the font plus the price, and also move this price here. And now for the styles, let's create the meta container here, and we also have the title, the subtitle, the font itself, and move it on top here, and we'll have the description and also the price. The meta container, which is going to wrap the title, subtitle, description, and the price, will have line items center. We justify the content to the flex end. We add a background color transparent to it, and we will add a padding. For the title, we will use font size of 36 pixels and a font weight of 900. For the subtitle, we will use font size 10 pixels and the font weight is going to also be 900. And the description will have a 14 font size, margin vertical of 15, and the text align is going to be center. The price, 42 pixels, the font size and the font weight is going to be 400. And for the font, we will use the font family Menlo, and the color is going to be, let's say, 222. Let's save this and see how things are looking. For this item, we also need to display the image. So image, and is going to have the source, it's equal to URI, and we will paste. We will create a method here called get image URI, and is going to receive an ID and is going to return an URL. So we will use this method for each particular item ID. And also let's apply a style to it, styles.image, and this image is going to have the image is going to have width of, let's say, 85% of the width, and a height of also 85% of the width, and we will apply a resize mode contained to it. the ID is not defined. I will oh yeah, makes sense. Okay, the resize mode is wrong. I forgot to import the image component, and we should be good to go. So now, as you can see, we have each item styled properly. The only thing remained is to add the background with a radial gradient, and also interpolate the X value for each item. Okay, now let's go to our component and create a separate method for rendering the SVG background with a radial gradient. I'll need my render radial gradient, and this is going to receive a color as background, and is going to return an SVG and also import SVG from Expo. And inside it we will have, actually let's import other stuff, like let's add the depths, the radial gradient from SVG, and we also have a stop, the stop and rectangle. I think that's it. Yeah, we'll see. And this SVG will first let's define the radial gradient. So depths. Inside these depths we will have a radial gradient that will have let's give it also an ID of gradient, and this will have the X value will start from 50%, the Y will be at 35%, the radius is going to be 60%, and the gradient units is going to be user space on use, and this one will have a stop value. Actually there will be two different stop values. I'll explain in a minute. The first one will be the white. The middle, let's say, is like the will be the radial from the middle, like the white dot that's in the middle of the screen. And so for it we will create an offset of 0%. We will have a stop color that's going to be white, FFF, and is going to also have a stop opacity 1. And the second stop will be the actual background color that we've assigned for each item, and this will have an offset of 100%, and the stop color is going to be the color that we're passing as an argument here, and the stop opacity, it's also going to be 1. Now that we have this gradient, let's also apply it somewhere, And so for it we will create a rectangle that's full width and height, and it is going to start from the top left corner. So x is going to be 0, y is going to be 0, the width is going to be width of the screen, height is height, and we'll fill with this URL gradient that we've assigned here the ID, and we will also apply a fill opacity of 0.9. And in order to have this visible, let's render it here, render radial gradient, and we will pass the item.bg. And actually I noticed that since this this SVG doesn't have any attributes, so we'll apply a height as well and the width, and also let's apply a style to it, style background or radial gradient, let's say. Background radial, and save this. I think that we also need to wrap it into a view that's also because we will also animate the view within. So let's do it now. Let's wrap this into a view, and for it, for the background radial gradient, we said let's apply a position absolute, and also a top 0 and a left 0, and let's apply a z-index -1 because we want to have it below everything, and also for the view, let's come here and apply a different style to it. So is SVG container, and the SVG container is going to also have the position absolute. I think it's not necessarily, but I think that I know what caused this this problem, and let's debug it. So we will have an image. This image has a background, and we align items center. So let's also apply actually this absolute positioning. Let's apply it to the SVG container, because we actually don't need to set it to the SVG itself, so only the parent can be positioned absolute with -1 a z-index to be above everything. And now, as you can see, the radial is looking almost the same as we have in our video, of course with some minor adjustments, but oh, we know what, now I just look at the I looked at the the animation itself, and I forgot to add the logo. So let's go to the browser and take the URL. So let's go and search for III headphones logo PNG, and look up for, okay, so this one, copy the link and go to the um, go to the VS Code and assign it here. So logo URI is equal to this image, and here a sibling of the ScrollView render the image logo. The source URI is going to be logo URI, and also apply a style logo image, and also here let's create the logo image, and logo image is going to have a width, let's say of 200, height 200, and we will position it absolute typo here at the top, let's say 10 pixel 10. The resize mode is going to be contain, and we want to be on top of everything, so the Z index, you know what, it's easy to mess the Z index, so I'll place this after the scroll view. And I think that let's see how this is looking. I think it's going to be too big. Yeah. So let's add I don't know, let's do we've divided by 7, and also we divided by 7 as the square, call much better. And let's also get rid of the status bar because we don't need it now, and we can also add here status bar is going to have the hidden, and save it. And I noticed that the padding, everything is centered right now, and we need to make it at the bottom. So this item, let's align self flexend. Let's see if that is doing the trick. No. Let's apply this flex, and oh, it's sorry, it's justify content flex, and cool. And yeah, I think that we can also add a little padding bottom of, I don't know, 20, let's say, to give this just a little room to breathe. And well, now we can start interpolating and animating everything. So let's start with the item. In this item, we wanna create the input range. So input range is going to be we will create 4 different breakpoints. One is so the current item, so is going to be something like this. So it's going to be let's say we are on the first position, so current position is going to be 0. So we also wanted to take a look at -1 position and -2 positions. So those two are here, but we also wanted to take a look at the next position, so the 1. And because when you move, for example, when you move to the right, we increase the index, and the item with the cyan background needs to animate as well, and also the next one needs to be animated. So that's why we have 4 different breakpoints. So it's going to be y minus 2 multiplied with the width, and -1, and I multiplied with the width, and I plus 1. Just 1 second, my application just closed, and I plus 1 multiplied with the width, and we will create, let's first animate the image itself. So we will apply a different different scale, and also apply a different opacity based on the position of the item. So it's going to also be, it will go to 0 opacity, when it is visible 1, and so on. So, and the scale, let's apply it for 0.4, or half of the current size. So let's do this. The image scale is going to be, we will interpolate the scrollX. So interpolate it, and we will pass the input range, and for the output range we will have, so -1, -2 is going to be the 1, 0.41, and then 0.4 again. I think that we don't need this one, but just to ensure that you'll go too deeply and scroll, we'll have the image scale like that, and we also wanna add the image opacity, which is going to also be scrollX, and interpolate it, and we have the same input range, and the output range is going to be 1.2, let's say, or 1 and 0.2 again, not 0, because if you go here, the animation is going to start from 0, and I think that if we leave it on the screen is better for the UI. It's just a personal flavor, but feel free to play around with it and see how it feels for you, and add the scale to as a style, and also apply the opacity, which is image opacity, and save it and see. Okay, because this is not an animated image. Okay, so now if we go, okay, let's get rid of this, and okay, so I think that we can also play around with different scales but yeah, let's move further. Also apply the same thing to the meta, because as you can see from the animation, the title and the whole meta is also animated. So animated. Let's apply the same style here as the image opacity, and also add the animated view here. So now we think that we can also add a little more opacity to it. Let's see again here. Yeah, definitely. But let's leave it like that, and we'll come back eventually if we feel it necessary. But for let's also store. Let's store this input range somewhere else and to the instance. So input range is going to be so input range. So this input range, because we will use it here in the radial gradient. So in the radial gradient, we will use a different transforms, and we will also rotate the background. As you can see here, we'll rotate the background, and we are also going to translate it based on the position of the scroll, and animate also the opacity. So let's jump back to the code and add the rotate, which is going to be scrollX interpolate, and input range is input range. I think that I'll break this one here, and input range, and the output range is going to be let's do 0 degrees minus 15 degrees. 0 degrees again when is the current item, and 15 degrees. So it's going to be from is going to animate differently based on the scroll direction, and rotate gradient, rotate, it's fine. Also translate X is going to be the same here, except the output is going to be different. So the output in this case is going to be 0 with 0 and minus with, so it's going to animate also based on the scroll direction, and we will also have a different opacity applied to it. So again, the same interpolation, but this time we will have 1.5, 1 and 0.5 again, and apply this to the view, to the container. So this is an animated view, and apply the styles here. So it's going to be transform. We will rotate, and we will translate X, and okay, and the opacity, and let's save this and take a look at it. The eye is not, of course. So I think that what can we do here? I think that I'm going to pass the input ranges argument. So input range, let's redefine it here, and let's get rid of this, and to the background we'll also pass the input range, and this will accept the input range here, and there's no need for assigning it to the instance. So let's see. Okay, now we have some animation going on here, and it feels also smooth. And you know what? Let's apply a different. Let's scale the background. Why not? So let's scale it. Let's scale the SVG container. So SVG container. I need to apply it inline here because it will be overwritten. And let's apply a scale by 1.3, let's say, to make it bigger, and so we will not see the corners of the animation. That's looking good, guys. Okay guys, so I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial and you found it useful, and see you in the next ones. By the way, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell button to be notified when I'm posting a new video. See you in the upcoming ones.